Hello everyone, welcome to Legal Darshan. In our previous video, we talked about what is state under Article 12 as well as your Article 36. Article 12 marks the beginning of Part 3 of the Constitution, which is fundamental right, whereas Article 34 marks the beginning of Part 4 of the Constitution, which is our DPSP. So both the articles are containing the definition of state, and that we have discussed in the previous class. The link of the previous class is attached in the description box, as well as you can find the link on the boards as well that can be shown in this video, right? So now, um, state, we interpreted the term other authorities in the article. So basically, Article 12 says that state is basically your government, your state or union government, your parliament, or your state legislature, the local authorities, which could be your panchayat, municipalities, and other authorities. So we used many cases from R.D. Shetty to P.K. Biswas. We referred to many cases to interpret the term other authorities. All right. So now, what is another authority that can be called a state under Article 12? We have a four-factor test. Finally, we settled on a four-factor test, which was given in PK Biswas. So these PK Biswas case, or you can also call it Pradeep Kumar Biswas case, all of these cases we have discussed in the previous video we have done on the state. Now today, we will be looking in this video that what other industries, what other organizations, what other institutions, they can be called as state. So we will do a case which is your Z Telefilms versus Union of India, in which we will be questioning whether there is a statehood bestowed on BCCI or not, and secondly, whether judiciary is a state. So, this video will primarily deal with the question whether judiciary is a state or it is not a state. All right. Now, the four-factor test, let us quickly summarize the four-factor test that we discussed in PK Biswas. So, a state, अकॉर्डिंग टू द पीके बिस्वास जजमेंट, नंबर वन, आप कैसे डिटरमाइन करेंगे कि कौन सा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन स्टेट है, कौन सा इंस्टीट्यूशन स्टेट है? उसके लिए फर्स्ट पॉइंट वी आर गोइंग टू लुक इज द कंट्रोल ऑफ स्टेट. हाउ सिग्निफिकेंटली has the state been exercising its control on the organization? अब कंट्रोल कैसे, आप स्टेट कैसे कंट्रोल एक्सरसाइज कर सकता है? By way of appointing ex officio officers. For example, Prime Minister is the ex officio chairman of Niti Aayog. For example, Prime Minister is the ex officio president of CSIR. So any post in the institution or the organization, if it is held by a person who is affiliated or who is related to state, for example, minister, governors, etc. So some universities have their chancellors who are governors of the same state, right? So those university become the part of state because a position of chancellor is in the hands of governor, right? So there is a state exercising control. Then second aspect is when you will determine if a body is a state or not is the financial assistance by state. That what is state providing them for their functioning? State क्या provide कर रहा है उनको, उनकी functioning के लिए कितना financial grant allow कर रहा है, कितना percentage of financial grants है जो state दे रहा है, that you are going to check. Financial assistance by state is a parameter. Then we will have monopoly conferred. Next parameter is कि किस अमाउंट की मोनोपोली जो है वो कॉन्फर्ड है एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल वी हैव सेबी, हमारे पास सेबी है विच टॉक्स अबाउट कैपिटल मार्केट्स, स्टॉक्स एंड ऑल दैट, शेयर्स एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट. वी हैव CSIR which has the monopoly of scientific research. All right. सो अगर आप पर, आपके इंस्टीट्यूशन पे, आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पे एक ही तरह का काम करने की मोनोपोली कॉन्फर्ड है, मोनोपोली कॉन्फर्ड का मीनिंग दैट वो काम आपके अलावा कोई नहीं कर सकता, मोनोपोली कॉन्फर्ड बाय स्टेट। फॉर एग्जाम्पल योर आरबीआई ऑल्सो, आपका जो आरबीआई है वो भी एक तरह से जो स्टेट है, उसने मोनोपोली दे रखी है ऑल द बैंकिंग रेगुलेशंस डिसाइड करने की, डिकोड करने की टू आरबीआई। सो मोनोपोली इज बेसिकली when you have the sole discretion, sole power to exercise control over some subject, and nobody apart from you can do that. Then the fourth one is public importance, कि जो आप काम कर रहे हैं, जो आपका फंक्शन कर रहा है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन या इंस्टीट्यूशन, दैट इज अ फंक्शन ऑफ पब्लिक importance. All right, this is what PK Biswas has basically said. Pardon, this is what PK Biswas has laid down. All right. Now let's move to the main discussion of today's video. This was a quick sum up of the last video we did, that even if you have not gone through the last video we uploaded on state, you can have a fair idea in which direction we are leading. All right. Yes. Now, let's move to this important case, which is the case of BCCI, whether BCCI is a state or not. All right? Yes. Now, in the case of Z Telefilms versus Union of India, the question was whether BCCI is a state or not. Okay? Whether BCCI, which regulates the affairs related to cricket, whether it is a state or not. So BCCI is basically your board of control for cricket in India, which is being chaired by Mr. Jay Shah right now. Now, in this case, it was held that no, BCCI is not a state because we are going to apply the four-factor test. All right. Number one, we will check it on financial aspect, कि whether BCCI is being funded, it is being supported by government or administration. The answer was no. All right. Now, is there is government control? क्या गवर्नमेंट जो है वो कंट्रोल एक्सरसाइज करती है किसी वे में बीसीसीआई पे? द आंसर इज नो, बिकॉज बीसीसीआई का जो चेयरमैन है, जो गवर्निंग बॉडी है, दैट इज नॉट बीइंग एफिलिएटेड बाय स्टेट। ऑल राइट। एंड बीसीसीआई का एक डिक्लेयर्ड मोनोपोली भी नहीं है। बीसीसीआई डज नॉट हैव अ वेरी मच डिक्लेयर्ड मोनोपोली दैट जो भी क्रिकेट से रिलेटेड अफेयर्स होंगे टोटली बीसीसीआई ही देखे, ऐसा नहीं है। एंड देन whether cricket is a public function, because this board is primarily working for control over cricket, whether it is a fact or not, then in this case it was held that no, cricket is not a question of public importance. It is just another sport which has achieved a lot of following by Indian people. So there is no public importance, there is no aspect of public importance you can link with it. But आप कह सकते हैं कि गेम कंट्रोल कर रहा है, स्पोर्ट्स कंट्रोल कर रहा है, तो कुछ पार्ट ऑफ मोनोपोली हम दे सकते हैं, कुछ पार्ट ऑफ पब्लिक इंपॉर्टेंस हम दे सकते हैं, लेकिन फिनेंशियल इंटरेस्ट और फिनेंशियल असिस्टेंस और गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल की एब्सेंस की वजह से वी कैन प्राइमरली से दैट नो, इट इज नॉट अ स्टेट। ऑल राइट। द मेन रीजनिंग was derived from non-receiving of any financial aid and no governmental control. That was the main reason that it was declared a non-state. And monopoly was not proved. It cannot also be said to be a complete function of public importance as well. Therefore, it was held that no, BCCI is not a state. All right, because it is also a completely non स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडी। बीसीसीआई के लिए हमारे पास कोई स्टैट्यूट नहीं है, ये एक बस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जो इकट्ठे आई और एक बॉडी बन गई। सो देयर इज नो डिक्लेयर्ड और स्टैट्यूटरी मोनोपोली एज वेल। इट इज जस्ट अ बॉडी फंक्शनिंग ऑन इट्स ओन, ऑटोनमस है एंड नॉन स्टैट्यूटरी है। सो इट इज ऑल्सो द रीजन दैट इट बिकेम नॉन स्टेट। नाउ टू कंक्लूड what can be state, some examples, and what cannot be state, We will just have a list of not state or non-state. All right. So your state could be your ONGC, which is your Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, Airport Authority of India. This could be your state. All right. Your Bharat Petroleum, Bharat Petroleum. All right. GAIL, भेल, all of these which have हम PSU के लिए एग्जाम देते हैं, हम क्लैट जो देते हैं वो PSUs के लिए देते हैं. So your PSUs, public sector undertaking, they form the part of state. All right. RBI, State Bank of India, the government banks, they are state. Delhi University is state. All right, because its funding is from the government, it is representing a function of public importance. These are state. Agricultural research, Indian Council of Agricultural Research, ICAR, is state. All right, but what are non-states? Non-states हम कह सकते हैं cooperative societies are non-states. BCCI is non-state. All right, your medical or engineering college, private colleges are not state. All right, private colleges अब आप देखिए, they cannot be called as state. आप ये ऐसा मान सकते हैं कि आईपी यूनिवर्सिटी है, दिल्ली में आईपी यूनिवर्सिटी है. If IP University is receiving funding from state, then IP University can be called as a state. But जो colleges IP University से affiliated है, private college, they are just having affiliation from IP University. They cannot be called as state just because they have affiliation, क्योंकि वहां पे कोई गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल नहीं है, फाइनेंशियल असिस्टेंस नहीं है, no government control, no monopoly. All right, the only thing that matches is that they are discharging a function of public importance, which is the education. All right. Then we have in research institutes, और भी कोई अगर research institutes हैं जिन पे मोनोपोली और ग्रांट्स नहीं मिलता, सरकार का मोनोपोली नहीं है, वो भी नॉन स्टेट हैं. ऑल राइट, सो दीज आर सम एग्जांपल्स. नाउ इसमें आपका डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटीज भी आ जाएगा, जैसे दिल्ली डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटी है, और डीटीसी जो बस सर्विस है वो भी आ जाएगा. इन तरह की चीजें जो हैं, CSIR हमने केस में पढ़ ही लिया, ये सब आपकी स्टेट मानी जाएंगी, एंड ये सब आपके नॉन स्टेट. द लिस्ट यू शुड नोट, इट इज नॉट एक्सक्लूसिव लिस्ट कि इनके अलावा और कोई नहीं हो सकता स्टेट या नॉन स्टेट, but it is an inclusive list. Okay, this is an illustrative list. All right, now let's move to another aspect of judiciary, whether judiciary is a state or it is a non-state. Now, when you look at judiciary, your judiciary is exercising two functions. One is when it is sitting in the adjudication, when it is deciding the matters, it is deciding a judicial, it is performing a judicial role. But when it is performing the roles like कौन से जज का ट्रांसफर कहाँ करना है सबऑर्डिनेट जुडिशरी में, कौन से जज किस तरह काम कर रहे हैं, एंड कौन से जज कौन से रोस्टर में बैठेंगे, ऑल ऑफ दीज फंक्शंस बिकम एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव फंक्शंस. जब आप ये डिसाइड कर रहे हैं कि जो कोर्ट का स्टाफ है उनको क्या अलाउंस दिया जाएगा, आप एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव साइड पे वर्क कर रहे हैं, तो वो आपकी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव साइड ऑफ जुडिशरी आ जाती है. All right, so there is this case of A.R. Antule. The case is named as A.R. Antule versus R.S. Nayak versus State of Maharashtra. Versus State of Maharashtra. So it was held that when judiciary is exercising its administrative role, only then it will be a state. Okay, only then it will be a state for the purpose of part 3. क्योंकि अगर आपने जुडिशरी को भी स्टेट बना दिया, नाउ सी, अगर आप जुडिशियल फंक्शन में भी जुडिशरी को स्टेट बना देंगे, तो आप बेसिकली व्हाट इज हैपनिंग कि आपके जो फंडामेंटल राइट्स हैं वो स्टेट के अगेंस्ट एनफोर्स होते हैं. एंड अगर स्टेट ही आपने जुडिशरी को बना दिया, तो आप एक एलिमेंट ऑफ स्टेट के अगेंस्ट कंप्लेंट कर रहे हैं दूसरे एलिमेंट ऑफ स्टेट में. सो यू नो देयर कैन बी सर्कमस्टांसेस ऑफ बायस कि हम सब स्टेट हैं, हम आपस में स्टेट हैं, सो आई विल फेवर द पार्टी अगेंस्ट whom the allegations of breach of fundamental right has been made. All right, so जुडिशरी जब जुडिशियल फंक्शन डिस्चार्ज कर रही है, उसको स्टेट के परव्यू से बाहर रखना is also strengthening our doctrine of separation of powers that we follow in India. It is also aligning with your Article 50 of the Constitution, which says that your executive should not intervene in judiciary, and executive and judiciary should be kept aside, should be kept away. They should not be, there should be a separation between executive and judiciary. All right. So here अंतुले वर्सेस आर एस नायक वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ एमएच के महाराष्ट्र के केस से हमें ये मिलता है दैट व्हेन जुडिशरी एक्सरसाइजेज एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव फंक्शन, when it is performing the administrative function by judiciary, when judiciary is performing an administrative function, then only you can classify it as a state under Article 12. All right. So this is it for today's discussion. I hope the whole concept of state is clear to you. So next we will move to Article 13, so as to discuss what is judicial review, how is judicial review exercised. There are three doctrines of doctrine of separation, doctrine of severability, doctrine of waiver, and doctrine of eclipse that we will be doing with Article 13. All right. Thank you, everyone. Please stay tuned with us. Keep liking, watching, and sharing Legal Darshan.